Oftentimes there are a number of different principles, but there is sometimes one particular principle that motivated a person's interest in Islam. So if one of you would like to answer the question, or both of you, would be appreciated.
Okay. You want to go ahead first? Oh, you want to go first? No. Okay. Assalamu alaikum. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I'm Susan Amini. Alhamdulillah, I became Muslim in 1980. I'll give you a little background, probably too much information for your question, but no, it kind of goes along with everything that I've gone through. I was raised in the Baptist faith. I taught Sunday school. By the time I was about in 7th or 8th grade, I started having different questions about the faith. I didn't exactly know how was the best way to pinpoint anything. I had a world religions class in high school. Again, it didn't really give me that desire to change. Finally, when I did meet my husband and the revolution and everything came, whenever Qasim spoke of the religion, it was with such love, and you could see the definite belief. So I checked out all these books from the library, and I was trying to learn about Islam. Hid them under my bed because I didn't want my mom to catch me. Anyway, when I finally broke down, I told him, I said I had done so. He says, oh, you should have told me. So he got me an English Quran and a book by Dr. Ali Shariati. And it was a gradual process for me. One of the main things for me was the chapter on women. Mm-hmm. You know, back in the 70s and early 80s, everything was women's lib this and women's lib that. And I'm reading, saying that, wow, we have had all these rights for years and nobody knew about it because they're not Muslim. And so that for me was a big part of why I chose to change. Some days I'd feel more Christian, other days I'd feel more Muslim, but it wasn't until whenever I thought about the religion that I believed that Islam was the answer, and that's when I said my Shahada. And it was, again, a process. Some days, okay, now I'm Muslim, I gotta learn how to do my prayers. So today was kind of difficult, ladies and gentlemen. It's really difficult. You know, you're sitting there, Bismillah, and of course, learning to eat halal. Back then, you didn't have a halal market on every corner like you do now. You couldn't even eat a cookie or a cracker because it might have animal fat in it. Everything was checking for this and that. But you know, alhamdulillah, through it all, I believe that I have been completely blessed, and I feel as though Allah has showed me the light of Islam, and I'm doing what I can. So that's a little of my story here.
Everyone give us salawat, please. Allahumma salli ala
Okay, Assalamu alaikum. This is Zahra. I actually grew up in a very secular sort of background. I didn't really have religion in my home on a daily basis. My mother was a very modern, very secular type of woman, so I would say that it was more a neutral background. There wasn't an opposition, but there wasn't anything really in favor of either. It was just more of a very secular background, a family that really favored academia and science, and you know, this kind of perspective on life. A very, 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 very modern type of upbringing. And so the main initial component that attracted me to Islam, I would actually say would be the connotation. related to the Islamic world, I read a lot of books that are written by Western journalists who have gone to report in the Middle East and other predominantly Islamic areas. And the one thing that always resonated was this really tremendous amount of loyalty that people had towards their own family members, towards their own society, this really high level of devotion, because, you know, you have a situation where really, for instance, all the great religions, world religions have what you would call like a Sharia concept, you know, especially in Judaism, for instance, you know, they have stricter dietary laws than we do. They have strict dress codes as well, but yet you mostly have seen that go away, except in the Islamic world, you still see a very strong adherence to that. So that always really fascinated me and was very interesting to me. And then also, just to give a bit more of a perspective, I am actually visually impaired, you know, so so my childhood, my upbringing was a lot more sheltered than a lot of other people's, in the sense that, you know, I wasn't, you know, going out maybe as much and you know, like participating in you know, sports and things like that. So I had a lot of time to, you know, to myself, just in my house, to reflect and to think, which I'm actually really fine with. That actually I didn't really see that as a problem, but that's just sort of, you know, kind of my situation, just to put it into perspective a bit. So I really just started studying a lot, reading a lot of books, a lot of current events, because also I would say it's important to keep in mind this was post 9/11, right? So the world was very interested in the Middle East and in the Islamic world. And so I would say that those were the initial elements that that really caught my attention, were, like I said, the themes of devotion and loyalty, and that just really impressed me. For instance, a specific example would be, I came across this story where it had something to do with the Iran-Iraq war, and a Western journalist had been basically conducting interviews and was asking about torture / you know, maltreatment, or, you know, unethical treatment in these prison camps, right? And the Muslim said that there was not any of that going on. You know, he said no, everything was fine, and he did not disclose that. And then later on, he'd been asked by somebody at the camp, a Muslim, like an Iraqi, you know, Muslim, and he had asked him basically, you know, why did you not tell him? And he had said, because you are a Muslim, and he is not a Muslim, and your dignity and your honor are more important to me, and that always really resonated with me. That level of devotion, that level of loyalty. Yeah, so that would be kind of my start on my journey.
MashaAllah, thank you. Give us salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Thank you so much, Sister Zahra, for sharing with us. Everyone, give another salawat for the health and well-being of Sister Zahra. You know, another part of someone's journey to Islam, you often hear that a particular characteristic of the Prophet is connects with someone, you know, especially on the occasion of the Prophet's birthday. On the occasion of the Prophet's birthday, is there a particular characteristic or a story of the Prophet that really resonated with you, either before or in the early part of your journey to Islam?
For me, For me, I think it's just the stories of how he was so known to be trustworthy and the businesses that he had, and that is important within everything you deal with life. You know, you need to know you can trust somebody.
Right. And Sister Zahra, would you like to ask a question, please?
Yeah, sure. Okay, I would say for me, one characteristic of the Prophet that really stands out, or really stood out to me, was really, I'm just trying to think of how to articulate it best. It would really be, okay, well for starters, I would say I was really fascinated by the marriage that the Prophet had with Khadija alayhi salam, and I was just really impressed by that, because you have a situation where, a very, presumably handsome, very, qualified, young man, married, an older, woman, and it just really isn't a marriage that, quite frankly, you would see nowadays, or that you would see nowadays as having a positive outcome, right? So, a very, unique, type of marriage situation, and that really initially interested me. And then beyond that, I would say, in general, the Prophet's ability to know his audience and be able to speak accordingly, because it's very apparent when studying Islamic history that the Prophet knew how to speak to the people that he was addressing. If he was speaking to, to an Amir of people, he spoke in a certain way. If he was speaking to, to a Bedouin, he spoke in a certain way. And it wasn't that he gave different messages to different people, or that he told different people different things, but he understood how to explain and how to go about addressing different people, and he was able to look at people for where they were in society, and where their understanding and where their level was. And so that really interested me.
Alhamdulillah. Salawat, everyone, please. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. Thank you so much, sisters, for sharing in that regards. Part of our experience converting to Islam is the people that we come into contact with that are Muslim, right? And our experience with them, our interactions with them. Was there if you don't mind me asking, and whoever feels comfortable answering this question, go ahead, and I will oblige myself to answer the question as well, because I'm asking it, so at least I should be able to answer my own question. So is there a particular individual or group of individuals that were part of your journey to Islam that were supportive?
Well, for me, of course, my husband was always backing me, never pushing me. I get that question quite often. Oh, do you wear all of that because your husband makes you? Anyway, as I said, of course, Kazim was always very, you could tell the love he had for the faith whenever he spoke of it. And for me, personally, I do not believe that if Imam Khomeini had not come out and had the revolution and everything, and every night, we're hearing all of that, that I would be a Muslim today. And I feel very blessed that I was able to see this person and everything that he was able to accomplish for all of the Muslim brothers and sisters.
Everyone give us salawat for that, please. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Okay, I would say for myself, basically how it worked was I had been reading and studying a lot about Islam from an academic perspective, and I was really interested in visiting a masjid. So I had gotten like this list of numbers of like these different masajid around, around the area, as many as I could find. And I kept phoning them. I kept calling these different places, and nobody would pick up. Nobody was around. I would leave messages, and I would never get anybody calling back. That kind of thing. And so, and I actually, I was specifically looking for a Shia center, really. And so finally, I called actually here, and Brother Sayyid Musavi, who has now passed on, actually answered the phone, and I basically explained to him my situation. Was talking to him, over the phone about it, like, I'm so and so, I'm 14 years old, I'm this and that, I'm a student, obviously, and so on, and so, and then it went from there. He'd arranged for some people to come and, pick me up, give me a ride to the masjid, and it just it basically went from there. And so I would say that initially, that would be the person who was the most, definitely the most actually or tangibly instrumental to me in this process. And then obviously as time went on, I met other people who were a very supportive presence, here in the States and in the UK and elsewhere, and things obviously, went from there. But I would say initially it was the fact that Sayyid Musavi had actually picked up the phone and actually talked to me and took me seriously, because to be honest, I had phoned several masajid before and just nothing, nowhere. So that made a really big difference, because if, say, another masjid had picked up, although I was looking for a Shia center, sort of ideally, if another center had picked up and this center hadn't picked up, then in all likelihood I would have ended up going to another center. So yeah, so I would say that Sayyid Musavi was initially, and his family, Sayyid Musavi's wife and his children were initially the most helpful to me.
Thank you, sister. And if we, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. And please take the time to give us salawat for Sayyid Mahmoud Musawi and his family as well, their health and well-being. Please, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. And I'm happy to say that I remember being here when Sister Zahra was first invited to the masjid, so it's just a blessing to be able to see, the progression of another Muslim, and it's inspiring as well for me personally. As for answering my own question, it was actually a group of people, a group of friends that were very instrumental in me embracing Islam. During high school, even as far back as middle school, one of my close friends, I knew him that far back. I wasn't Muslim, but I became familiar with some of the basic ideas of Islam. The belief in one God, the belief in prophets, of course, the belief in the justice of Allah, the belief of actually having integrity, and also being merciful, but at the same time not allowing yourself to be trampled on by others, having izzah. So there's some basic things I learned about Islam. And I had a number of friends in high school, some of them Sunni, some of them Shi'i. But it wasn't until after I graduated, and it was the summer leading to my first year in college, that I started thinking more about life. life's purpose, what I was going to do with my life. In my family, you obey your parents, but once you're 18, you're an adult, you're a man, and so you decide what direction your life is going to go in, at least in terms of career. So it caused a lot of reflection on my part, and at the same time, I felt a bit of, I guess you could say, regret in terms of my own relationship with God. So at that time, it was a very, I guess you could say, transitionary period in my life. There were a number of Christian beliefs that I no longer accepted, but at the same time, I was not very committed to one particular religion. And there were friends that I had that were not Muslim, but the friends that were Muslim, they actually were heading in a very positive direction in their lives. And because of the regret that I had, and because I wanted to actually make more of an effort in my life in terms of not wasting my time, not wasting my life, when I started forward in more positive direction, I naturally, very organic way, I started gravitating towards my Muslim friends. At the time, a number of them, they had been raised in Muslim families, but they had themselves just started practicing Islam. So their practice of Islam had been, I guess you could say, rekindled, and for some of them, it had first started. And they started inviting me to the masjid, and I said, why not? They're good friends. They're positive. They have values. They have good things going on in their lives. So I went. And the more I learned about Islam, the more attracted I became to it. And I eventually embraced the religion of Islam. So, alhamdulillah, that was my own experience. So it was more of a group effort, I guess you could say, in my particular personal experience. Okay, so one last question. Okay, sisters, if you will. If we have something of value like anything, we shouldn't just want to keep it for ourselves, right? We should also want to share it with others. God forbid, we come before Allah and we're seen as being selfish with what is the most valuable, and that is Islam. So for those that are not Muslim, what particular, who you are talking to, what you convey?
Well, I think one of those things that, in a number of mosques where people they're very cliquey with their friends, and it's like, oh yeah, there's a new guy, but I'm busy talking over here, We need to remember that, they don't know anybody and they're here, so let's try our best to make them all feel welcome.
Very good. Thank you, sister. And it's, before Sister Zahra, if you will, excuse me, it's interesting, in Islam, when you give salam, when you're the initiator of the salam, right, you get more blessings in the one that responds to the salam. So it's in that vein, it's a way of us to remember the importance of that. So Sister Zahra, if you will.
Okay. Okay, so, there's obviously a lot of things I could say, but in brief, I think a few of the top things or the most important things that come to my mind about welcoming new people to Islam and so on was, I would say, first of all, it is obviously really, really important to have programs available in English, because
quite bluntly, if people come and they, and they can't understand, the program, and maybe not come back, so obviously just simply having materials and programs and lectures available in English or whatever. I mean, if you were doing dawah in Singapore, I would say, obviously, have it in, in Mandarin. Exactly. Yeah, I'm just saying English because we're here, obviously. So yeah, if you're doing dawah in the United States or the UK, so obviously there's just simply that. The second thing I would say is it's really important to convey. I would say if you're talking about conveying a single concept or idea, I would say it's really important to convey the idea of tolerance and to teach Muslims about the history and how for hundreds of years, really for over 1,000 years, Muslims and Christians and Jewish communities got along really well and lived very peacefully and respectfully with each other up until the last, 50 years. But for example, if you go back and you look at, for instance, a place like Egypt, there's historical facts about that. There are churches, Coptic Christian churches, that have been there for hundreds of years, like beautiful cathedrals, showing that clearly Coptic Christians were allowed to practice their faith and to have their churches with dignity and respect. And then I would say that that's the most important first step, would be to simply get people to a point where they believe that Islam is a tolerant religion or faith, and that if they choose to accept Islam or not, that will be accepted and respected. And so to remind people of that history, because I think that the average Western person has the idea that Islam is extremely intolerant. If you look at some of the things that go on in, like, for example, like in churches, or excuse me, not in churches, in schools, for example, in the UK, or things that are going on right now to get people to a point where they accept that Islam is a tolerant religion and has a history of coexisting very, very amicably with non-Muslims side by side. And then beyond that, I would say, lastly, I think it would be really important to, for instance, like if there are classes for, for recent converts, or in programs, or just in general, I think it's really important to emphasize values surrounding identity and personal identity. With converts, there becomes the really difficult, awkward situation of basically like trying to fit in, really not belonging in that sense, and quite honestly, I've seen many cases that I've seen, sisters ultimately live their lives basically as a pseudo-Arab or a pseudo-Iranian or pseudo-Afghani or pseudo-Pakistani, right? And that's basically kind of like what happens, and there's almost this sense of like shame or at the very least suppression of one's own cultural identity. So I think that it could be a really good idea to emphasize that you can practice Islam completely, and you can be, for example, an Anglo woman, you can be a Singaporean woman, you can be a Malaysian woman, certainly a Filipino, man or woman, and you can have your culture and celebrate, your heritage, your history as well. Like, for example, you see, like, historically, when Islam spread to different parts of the world, for example, if you go to Indonesia, right? Indonesians don't eat Arab food. Indonesians eat Indonesian food, and they speak Indonesian, right? So I think that this is a really important thing to also tackle, because I think that there's a lot of issues with when it comes to converts and sort of ethnic/racial identity, cultural adherence, and how that all comes together. And I think that it would be really beneficial to really address some of those issues, so that people coming into the faith can feel more comfortable, obviously, and also just to ultimately address certain issues and be able to move on from some of the misunderstandings that basically do happen. So yeah.
Thank you so much, Sister Zahra. Everyone give us salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. And
Can I just add one more thing? Really quick, before I forget, I think it's also very important, especially for the sisters that do wear the hijab. You know, we're looked at all the time. Keep yourself in a position where you're at the grocery store somewhere, someone walks up to you, they feel comfortable to ask you a question. I can't tell you how many times I get that. Can I ask you a question, or am I not supposed to? You know, yes, of course, ask me anything. And it goes for the brothers as well, but you know, you guys don't stand out like us, so. Anyway, all right.
thank you so much, sister. Please give us salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Please recite a loud salawat for them. I'd like to give a special thanks to our guest speakers, Brother Dawood, Sister Susan, and Sister Zahra, for their health and well-being. Please recite another loud salawat. I'd also like to point out, just like I said from last week, S.A.W will have their programs in English from now on. So please tell your friends and your family. Now, I'd like to invite Sheikh Mudarris. Please welcome.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah, everybody's busy. Thanks to your phones, and alhamdulillah, meeting and socializing. I would say personally, I don't know if you believe me or not, but I hope you do, that I personally loved tonight, compared with the probably last few months of coming and talking, because I listened actually, and somebody else talked. To be in my position, you have to, talk a lot and go to a lot of speeches and lectures, and you know it, and especially listening to sisters, Sister Susan and Sister Zahra, and also Brother Dawood. I think that was a lecture if you pay attention. I understand that some of you probably were busy. I noticed that there's some talks still right now. At this second I'm talking, there's still talks, but and I don't know how is that even possible to talk and listen at the same time. I can. But if you listen, the message for the birth of the Prophet was out there. He mentioned that one great evidence and sign that how the message of the Prophet is universal and how significant and what a great impact it had is that majority of the attendees tonight, we are non-Arab. And that's that power of that message that can bring people from all different ethnic background, cultural backgrounds together, unify them. That itself is a great lecture, in my opinion, because all the other topics we talk about will be irrelevant if you don't get that. Another point, again, I'm going to say this is what I learned, this is not my lecture, but I love to mention it. This is what I learned, and I hope you take your own lesson out of this panel. And thanks to all of them. And understand what kind of, I cannot say I understand what kind of difficulty they go through. It's not, I cannot even fathom that to go to a new religion, and sometimes, as they mentioned, to feel that because it's culture and religion so mixed and they can bring people from all different, you feel that ethnic background, cultural, you're alien to that message. That this is not what you found, this is not what you actually fell in love to begin with. And it is very difficult. You have to put yourself in their shoes and think, if you were in their place, how we will feel. 3 stories that they mentioned, what personality. There was 3 different points. One was the spouse. One was group of friends. One was picking up a phone. People become familiar with Islam in different ways. To become a messenger of Islam, there is no need for you to be a sheikh. None of them said we become Muslim because of a sheikh. None of them said we become Muslim because of a WhatsApp group or Telegram to begin with. They didn't convert because of that. It's actually taking interest in people's lives. To care. To pick up the phone when you get a call. Or talk to somebody in the masjid that they showed up there in your face. That's all you have to do. As a Shia, this is my criticism, and inshallah we'll go to the shorter speech. I don't want to make it very negative because it's a Mawlid and we wanted to celebrate. But I feel that sometimes we are overwhelmed, that we don't want too much attention. We want to keep it for ourselves. Oh, it's too much. Imagine if we are that welcoming. We do English program, we care for other people, we don't discriminate between people because they're not speaking the same language as we do, or they don't like the same food we like, and we actually connect with them. There's not going to be a space in this masjid, I promise you. And we don't sometimes, and maybe not, definitely not probably in public, we don't say it out loud, but in the back of our mind we think that we don't want that. We have this faith, we want it for ourselves. Keep it, what they call, it's some casual, and we have our own thing. We come and hang out and we go. That's the way we like it. Because when you start growing, you're not that important anymore. You become part of a system, a bigger picture, and some people don't like that. It's not that your identity goes lost, no. It's that your power starts to shrink. A bigger community means that your power is not as much, right? You cannot dictate what you want. The birth of the Prophet hopefully teaches that his message, it is universal, and unfortunately sometimes we're very far away from what he tried to accomplish. What he tried to accomplish is not what we are at. If it was the same way that Mecca, after 23 years of the Prophet's life, how he transformed the Arabian Peninsula, Hijaz. How long we've been in America? Our sister mentioned she converted to Islam in 1980s. So how long we've been in America? We means as some form of Muslims, organizations and all that. 38 years, or let's say 40 years. So we're not on the right track. And I said right now we're in a defensive position. We're getting punched. We're not even in a position of da'wah. We're not in a position of promoting, invitation. We're just, as I said, like a boxer in a corner of the ring, we're getting punched. You turn on CNN or that. And it's, the sad things that we pray that when something, that Thousand Oaks happened, that tragedy strike, we were praying that it's not a Muslim. That's what we came to. How is that invitation? How is that believing in yourself and your message, and you try to promote it? This is where we are. We're playing very cautiously, defensively, and our religion, unfortunately, is something that, I said that it's something that each one of us were responsible, and me as a speaker and everybody who's sitting here. Because in our religion, the Pope is not in charge. The priest is not in charge. إِنَّمَا الْمُؤْمِنُونَ إِخْوَةً. The believers are brothers, so every one of them are responsible. You cannot say, oh, that's what happened at the Battle of Uhud, right? When they said Prophet is, got killed. And there's some Muslims start running away, and somebody shouted, so what? Even if he's killed, his God is not dead. Where are you going? We need leadership. It is important. But in Islam, One of the power point of this system is that you're not depending on one person. You're depending on the message of the person. That's what we've been saying, right? That's the reason for us, even Rasulullah, if he's not living anymore, we still celebrate him. Because his message is not dead. That's what it is. إِنَّ اللَّهَ وَمَلَائِكَتَهُ يُصَلُّونَ عَلَى النَّبِيِّ يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا صَلُّوا عَلَيْهِ وَسَلِّمُوا تَسْلِيمًا. And I really appreciate your palawats. It was not a salawat, it was not applause, it was something in the middle. So try to separate them. You can finish your salawat and then give applause. So let's start reciting salawat for Brother Dawood, Sister Susanna, Sister Zahra. Salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa alayhi. Now give them a set of applause as well. Okay. They're not guests, they're part of this community, inshallah. They know that, and I want them to feel that way as well. They accepted our invitation, inshallah, not as guests, as our brothers and sisters in faith, and we appreciate that. May Allah, inshallah, reward them for that. It is very hard to talk about personal experience, and I personally asked Dr. Ashraqi to make sure that they know and they're okay with that, so we thank you for accepting the invitation. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. الحمد لله رب العالمين الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المكرمين سيما بقية الله في السماوات والأراضين. قال الله الحكيم في القرآن الكريم ولقد كان لكم في رسول الله أسوة حسنة لمن كان يرجو الله واليوم الآخر وذكر الله كثيرا صدق الله العلي العظيم. For the honor of the Holy Prophet and Imam S.A.W alayhi salam, recite salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. I hope nobody was praying for my voice to catch a cold in this weekend, but that happened. And I apologize for the way I sound. But the good thing is that I try to keep it shorter. I try. I don't make any promises, but I will try to keep it short. But as I said, because alhamdulillah, the panel itself was very informative. And alhamdulillah, all of them, I appreciate all of them, but especially Sister Zahra, the way she articulated her answers is amazing. And again, may Allah inshallah reward them for that. Because of that, I will keep my message, inshallah, or my speech shorter in order to have, inshallah, enough attention to absorb that part of the program as well as, inshallah, this part. The anniversary of the birth of the Prophet is excuse and is a reason to look back at the life of the Prophet. A man that his life started with difficulty, a man who was orphaned prior to his birth and after birth, and when he was a child and 5 years old, he lost his mother. He grew up an orphan. And for 40 years, he lived among pagans, among idol worshippers. And at the age of 40, Allah obliged him to go and make the message of Islam public toward people, starting with his family. But for 40 years, he preserved his faith, identity among people that they opposed everything about him. But the great thing about him was that he was known among people for his honesty and trustworthiness. What I want to say, this is a topic that, I usually in different centers that I go, I try to cover different topics. But I've been researching this topic probably a month ago, what to talk about when it comes to the end of the month of Safar, about the life of the Prophet, and even when it comes to this. And one I believe important and essential message is that the teaching of the Prophet are very practical. They're pragmatic. They're not just a sense of ideological debates or theories. There's actually messages how to live by. Brother Dawood mentioned that what was interesting to him, that his approach was very logical, that I'm going to go with my Muslim friend not based on emotions, not because there's something shiny out there that I like to go and watch. It was that There are people that I don't see any harm coming from them, that there are people that usually do the right thing, logically analyzing, and then I join them, right? That's what it was, his approach. And that is amazing about the Prophet message as well. If you think about the teaching of the Prophet, every step of the way, you see how practical and pragmatic they are. And that's what's missing. A lot of people, especially in the birth of the Prophet, in Farsi, Urdu, Arabic, and all these different cultures. English, because I don't think we have that many poets right now, but in the future, if we have, probably it will go toward the same direction, is that we recite a lot of poetry, which is beautiful. In poetry, what happens is praising the personality, right? Hamd. And the name Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And even other titles of the Prophet, Ahmad, Mahmud, they're derivatives of the word hamd, praising, thanking. And in poetry, usually that's the nature of it, that you praise, you elevate somebody's status, which has its own beauty. But unfortunately, there is a side effect with that, and that is that it makes the personality of the Prophet somebody to be praised and move on. It's like a superhero you talk about is for entertaining, inspiration, and you move on. When in reality, Quran said that the personality of the Prophet is an example. وَلَقَدْ كَانَ لَكُمْ فِي رَسُولِ اللَّهِ أُسْوَةٌ حَسَنَةٌ. Indeed, surely there is an example, there is a role model for you in the life of the Prophet. There is a consistent pattern of decisions and lifestyle that you can look up to the Prophet's life and learn from that. Right? That's what the ayah said. But that's not for everyone. It's not a role model for everyone. Then it give it that basically contingency. لِمَنْ كَانَ يَرْجُ اللَّهَ وَالْيَوْمَ الْآخِرِ. The one who have hope in God and Day of Judgment. Means if your approach to life is with God and Day of Judgment, Prophet is the person you look up. If you're trying to balance this life, with God, with Day of Judgment, then the ideal person who balances this is Prophet. But if you're somebody who doesn't care for Akhirah, if God forbid you're a personality, then there are individuals among us in the community that they don't care for God or religion or Day of Judgment. For them, everything is here. They work cash. Whatever I see, whatever I touch, that's what it is. I'm not going to, care about anything later on. And even they tell you, when I die, I think about it. When I died, I'll see what I do. For them, Prophet is not example. Probably they need some other, at least successful businessman in dunya to look up to in order to just cultivate what their interest is in this life. But if you're looking for somebody who's want the balance between hope in God, Day of Judgment, and the life as we have, Prophet is an ideal example. And God, la qad. La in Arabic means, is a way of emphasis. Indeed, qad, surely. Indeed, surely. Kana lakum. Kana means it still is happening. It's not just for the time of the past. Still, even right now, as relevant as it is today, could be, even 1,000 years in the future. Indeed, this personality, there is a uswa, exemplary. There's a role model in him. And that poetry should not take away from this. It should not take away that. That sometimes when we say, we should learn from the Prophet, that Prophet dealt with difficulty. You say, but he was a Prophet. Yes, he was. But إِنَّمَا أَنَا بَشَرٌ مِثْلُكُمْ. He was a prophet of God. He spoke what was the revelation. He is errorless. He is mistake-free. He's all that. But still, he is made out of flesh. He's a human being. Means all the pain that he went through, we were going through, he probably went worse than that. Even he got sick. He had fevers. He had his own even illnesses. So by praising him to a level that I said is superhuman. Character-wise, he's beyond. Oh, thank you. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. من تازه داشتم اوج میگرفتم ما رو زد. Okay, so he is in character, in akhlaq, in manners, in ethic. He's beyond regular people. He is. But when it comes to actual physical existence, he is a human being like us. In the Battle of Uhud, when they attacked him, his tooth got broken, right? He got injured. He's like everyone else in that matter. And he's supposed to be considered a role model to live up to. And that's something that unfortunately they say, the teaching of the Prophet, the practicality of it. We talk about men and women in our society. Our Prophet took the first step of fighting masculinity 1400 years ago. Imagine the final Prophet of God worked for a woman 1400 years ago in the Arabian Peninsula. In the West, still we said with invisible ceiling they call it, right? It's still women fighting for this right, that they get what they actually work for. They deserve to get equal pay, right? But they're fighting invisible ceiling that in the corporations and companies, they work, but they don't get compensated equally to men. In 21st century, in United States. In UK, they did this study that there are actually a higher rate of women's death because of this discrimination among insurance policies between women employees and men employees. There were higher, unfortunately, incident for women. 1400 years our Prophet worked for Hazrat Khadija. Got a job, a contract, did the job, and rewarded returned the trust fully with his character. But of course, he's accused of being, so many horrendous and, it's not even unspeakable accusation against him. That, Islam and the Prophet was, God forbid, a man who didn't care for women's rights, who didn't do this, who didn't do that. Practically, that's the way he lived. His treatment of his daughter and his wife was an example of that. Every teaching is a practical lesson. I'm inshallah conclude with that. So I was just, thinking about, this is just example. Do the same thing yourself. Look at some of the tradition and see the practicality. What Prophet used to carry behind his ear everywhere? Anybody? Not a pen. Miswak. A toothbrush. A man that he had a toothbrush, and of course toothbrush is basically a more modern, production of the plastic form of it. But we're talking about that type of stick that is made out of a certain type of tree that is good for brushing your teeth. But he had that with him all the time behind his ears. Dental hygiene 1400 years ago. And when he passed away, under his cheek, what they found? Same thing. Siwak. It was under his cheek and when he passed away. That's a practical emphasis on that. A man that said if he was not able to find a mirror to comb his hair, he would go and find water and do that. To make sure that you look as presentable in outside as you're going to be, inshallah, working on your spiritual aspect as well. But I'm asking you, as among Muslims, when it comes to presentation of ourselves, are we the best of examples? Hopefully we are. What colors are recommended mustahab to wear? Bright colors. Bright colors. White, yellow. These are the mustahab colors. Think about it, why? So just think about it. If you just put a few minutes of thought, you understand that bright colors, they usually is noticeable if they get dirty, right? You need to wash them. That's the sign. But some of us, I talk about myself, when we go shopping, we look for dark colors, right? That brown and gray. Why? Why is that? Cherk vardar. In Farsi, said it takes some time for the dirtiness to become apparent. So it's okay. It's mustahab to wear white. How is that? How you can find more practical lesson than that? Speaking of the meal, to eat, have a light dinner. Don't have your main meal at the end of the day. How is that practical? You tell me. About every aspect of the life of the Prophet is about how to implement, embed something good. And that's something to think about. In action, that's the part we fail. In praising, we do a great job. In praising, we're very good. All right? And same thing, we said so many salawat for our brothers and sisters who came. But next week when they show up, when they don't have that panel, inshallah, we're the one who initiate going and talking to the one that is, as they mentioned, unfamiliar face. And praising, that's okay. All of us, we nod our head, right? That's the one we do. It's very good to nod our head, but in action is the difficult part. That's the challenge. And I promise you, in good things, starting is difficult because it's not attractive. Prophet has started his message. He's the final prophet of God. How many people accepted his message? 2. Who are the 2? People who lived with him. His wife and the one that was living with him, his cousin, which was basically Rasul was raising him, Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam. 2. You would say Islam, this beautiful, divine message, transformative, all the beauty is only 2 people? Yes, it is. Why? Because unfortunately, short-lived desires always have attraction. Always. Long-lasting impacts, they don't have attraction the way you think. Usually a lot of them are known later on. Give you an example. In business, you know, if you talk about sustainability, making a business plan that is eventually you're going to make profit, it's boring. We know that. But if it's a Ponzi scheme, it's a pyramid scheme, everybody wants to invest, right? Tell me I'm going to give you money, it's going to get doubled in 2 months or in a month. In every matter, short-lived ideas, they're very attractive. Islam is not that kind of a message. That's usually you see a lot of these fake Sufi and other, weird ideology that they have some kind of shiny attraction, they get popular quickly and they die quickly as well. It's like viral videos, right? Or something that we call is hype or hip. They're short-lived and they're usually not meaningful. Right? Everybody know about it, but there's no actual meaning behind it. Meaningful stuff, not that much. In every aspect. Religion is no exception either. Especially Islam, because Islam doesn't care for luxury, doesn't care for attention, popularity, care for an impact. Islam came to change your life. If you're willing to take it, you can. That's your choice. That's my choice. Every hadith, every ayah, every message, every story of the Prophet is that brother, sister, Muslim, follower of the Prophet, follow it. This is an example. Or you can't find an excuse, he was a prophet. So don't expect that from me. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the tawfiq to learn from the Prophet, to live by the life of the Prophet as we recite in ziyarah, right? Allahumma ja'al mahyaya mahya Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. That my life, my living is that life. Not just that in the time of death I say shahada, but in every second I breathe the life of the Prophet. May inshallah give us that tawfiq. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I apologize. I said I'm going to try, but inshallah it was with another salawat for all the volunteers who helped to decorate, helped to provide this majlis, organize it. And don't forget, they're not getting paid for this. They're not getting even complimented for it. What they get is suggestion. Why so many balloons? You wasted so many balloons, right? Why the lights were not working? Why the mic was not working? They always get criticism. I understand we could do things better, but start with saying thank you for it. Alhamdulillah that you did this much, you decorated, you provided this. May Allah inshallah reward all of them. A lot of them are youth, but there are alhamdulillah the older youth as well among them for the health and well-being of all of them and their families. Recite the salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad.
Thank you, Shaykh Mudarris. For his health and well-being, please recite aloud salawat. The next part of our program is we're going to have a nasheed by our brother Hassan Razmara. Afterwards, we're going to be giving out gifts, so please stay. Please help me welcome Hassan Razmara with a loud salawat, and please clap while he recites.
Assalamu alaikum. This part is Farsi only, sorry. برای سلامتی خودتون صلوات بفرستید. برای سلامتی اونایی که اینجا زحمت کشیدن، مثلا خانواده دکتر مهیار درخشانی و شاهرخ و همه بچه‌های اینجا صلوات بلند عنایت بفرمایید. برای سلامتی خودتون و بانیان مسجد چه هستن در قید حیات چه نیستن، صلوات سوم رو بلندتر. بسم الله الرحمن الرحیم. اللهم صل و سلم و زد و بارک علی النبی الامی العربی الهاشمی القریشی المکی المدنی الابتهی التهامی السید البهی سراج المضی الكوكب الدری صاحب الوقار و السکینه المدفون بالمدینه العبد المؤید والرسول المسدد المصطفى الأمجد المحمود الأحمد حبيب إله العالمين وسيد المرسلين خاتم النبيين وشفيع المذنبين ورحمة للعالمين أبا القاسم محمد وجل فرجهم صلی الله علیه و آله. الصلاة و السلام علیک یا ابا القاسم یا رسول الله یا امام الرحمه یا شفیع الامه یا حجت الله علی خلقه یا سیدنا و مولانا انا توجهنا و استشفعنا و توسلنا بك الی الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله يا وجيها هنگام سرور کائنات است امشب، اوقات گرفتن برات است امشب. بفرست مدام بر محمد صلوات، زیرا که بهار صلوات است امشب. حال نداری؟ تویی که بهانه تمام خلقتی، نبی رحمتی، نبی رحمتی، تویی که بهانه تمام خلقتی، نبی رحمتی، تویی که بهانه تمام خلقتی، نبی رحمتی، تویی که نگین خاتم نبوتی، نبی رحمتی، تویی که نگین خاتم نبوتی، نبی رحمتی، یوسف و خضر و عیسی چه مشتاق تو، یوسف و خضر و عیسی چه مشتاق تو، عالمی پر شد از عطر اخلاق تو، رشک جنت میشن گلهای باغ تو، چه بی همتایی پناه مایی ابا زهرایی، چه بی همتایی پناه مایی ابا زهرایی، مدد یا مولا، مدد یا مولا مدد یا مولا مدد آفرین مدد یا مولا مدد یا مولا تویی که بهار گلشن حقایقی تو صبح صادقی تو صبح صادقی تویی که بهار گلشن حقایقی تو صبح صادقی امام صادقی تویی که بهار گلشن حقایقی تو صبح صادقی تو روشنایی بخش این دلای عاشقی تو صبح صادقی منبرندار اعجاز پیغمبری منبرندار اعجاز پیغمبری دین حق زنده از مذهب جعفری تویی که وارث عزت حیدری تو روح و جانی سراپا ایمان تمام قرآن مدد یا مولا آفرین مدد یا مولا کوچه ها پر از شمیم مهر و رأفت بهار وحدت بهار وحدت کوچه ها پر از شمیم مهر و رأفت بهار موسم برادری و عید رحمت عزت دین اسلام و هر کس میخواد عزت دین اسلام و هر کس میخواد راهش همدلی راهش اتحاد تا که صبح ظهور آقامون بیاد ایشالله از راه میاد مثل ما بقیت الله ایشالله از راه میاد مثل ما بقیت الله مدد یا مولا 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 ای نبی خدا پیغمبر هدیه آمنه از داور ای نبی خدا پیغمبر هدیه آمنه از داور مهر تو دلم تا محشر آرزوم همینه تا بیام مدینه بگو آرزوم همینه دست نمیزنید ای نبی خدا و پیغمبر هدیه آمنه از داور ای نبی خدا پیغمبر هدیه آمنه از داور مهر تو دلم تا محشر آرزو همینه تا مدینه بگو اگه میخوای بری بگو شوری شده به پا تو دلها نور میباره زمین از بالا شوری شده به پا تو دلها نور میباره زمین از بالا محو جمالشان یوسف ها آخرین نبیه عاشقش علیه آخرین نبیه عاشقش علیه یا حبیبی یا مصطفی یا خاتم الانبیا یا حبیبی یا مصطفی یا خاتم الانبیا یا حبیبی یا مصطفی یا بهجت الاوصیا بلغ العلا بکماله کشف الدجا بجماله حسنت جمیع خصاله صلوا علیه و آله صلوا علیه صلوا بلغ العلا بکماله کشف الدجا بجماله حسنت جمیع خصاله صلوا علیه و آله صلوا دل بر ما همه یا احمد نغمه عالمه یا احمد دل بر ما همه یا احمد نغمه عالمه یا احمد هستی فاطمه یا احمد سایه سرمه زهر مادرمه یا حبیبی یا مصطفی یا رحمت العالمین یا حبیبی یا مصطفی یا حبیب المؤمنین یا حبیبی یا مصطفی یا ضیاء العارفین بلغ العلا بکماله کشف الدجا بجماله حسنت جمیع خصاله صلوا علیه و آله صلوا دست نمیزنید جواب بدید حتی یه بنده دیگه داره دیگه ما صدا بلغ العلا بکماله کشف الدجا بجماله حسنت جمیع خصاله صلوا علیه و آله بگو دل بر ما همه یا احمد نغمه عالمه یا احمد هستی فاطمه یا احمد سایه سرمه زهر مادرمه نوری به همه جا تابیده انگاری رو زمین خورشید نوری به همه جا تابیده انگاری رو زمین خورشید بنده هاشو خدا بخشیده عشقت تو دلم توی آب و گلم یا حبیبی یا مصطفی یا حبیبی یا سید الاوصیا یا حبیبی یا مصطفی یا خاتم الانبیا بلغ العلا کشف الدجا حسنت جمیع صلوا علیه و آله صلوا علیه و آله ای احمدیان به نام احمد صلوات هر دم به 1000 ساعت از دم صلوات از نور محمدی دلم مسرور است پیوسته بگو بر محمد صلوات.
Please give a loud applause for Brother Hassan Razmara. I'd like to announce that there's a sister outside by the entrance to another hall. She'll be giving out the gifts to the youth. So if you want to receive your gifts, please go outside and get it from her. The H, they didn't give me an H. So I'm guessing it's under 18. If you're under 18. I would like to invite Brother Sheikh Modaris for the salam and closing du'as. Please recite a loud salawat.
It wasn't a long night. Right now it's 10:10. In Masjid Nabi, that's a record, by the way. To finish by 10:10, it is a record. It's one of the, and celebration night, I did a lecture that I got the mic at 10:40. One of the celebration. But inshallah we're going to do better and better, finish a bit earlier. inshallah خیلی منبر من شاید به زبان انگلیسی گفتم تاریک معلوم نشده باشه، خدا که ناامید نکرده باشم. انشالله داماد بشی. بذار من حرف دارم میزنم. گویه بنده خدایی، حالا میگم چون ایام شب ولادت اینم بگم سلام بدم. گفت یه بنده خدایی اومد پیش یه جایی بودن که بالاخره یه یخچال داشتن، چند تا مثلا مجرد که تو این خونه بودن اینو با هم دیگه شریک بودن. اومد گفت آقا چه خبره، چه وضعشه؟ ما هرچی تو این یخچال میذاریم میخورن. به این بقیه هم اتاقیاش گفت. و منظور چیه؟ گفت آقا ما پنیر میذاریم میخورن، نمیدونم گردو میذاریم میخورن، نمیدونم سوپ میذاریم میخورن، هر چی میذاریم میخورن. یکی از اون هم اتاقیاش گفت آقا جان فامیلی تو روش بنویس دیگه. نمیخورن. گفت چرا مینویسم؟ بازم میخورن. گفت مگه کدوم یکی مال توئه؟ گفت همون که نوشته فامیل من صلواتیه، همونه مال. حالا انشالله که امشب از این مجلس استفاده کرده باشین. بازم ممنون از اینکه تحمل کردین. انگلیسی بودنش گفتم فایدهش برای اینه که انشالله ما بیشتر بتونیم برای عزیزانی هم که الان مثلا بین ما هم داریم که فارسی اصلا نمیفهمن و هم بچهای جوونمون دیگه معتاد شدن به این که بیان تو مسجد گوش نکنن. یعنی الان شما تا اینو شما تغییر بدین یه دقیقاً چند شاید ماهی زمان ببره. چون همش اومدن الان ولی انگلیسی هم که صحبت بکنین گوش نمیدن. چرا؟ چون سالهای سال فارسی بوده. این عادتی که بشینن گوش بدن ندارن. 20 دقیقه، نیم ساعت، 40 دقیقه میخواد بشینه. ولی کم کم که انشالله این تبدیل به یه عادت بشه میان توجه میکنن، انشالله یاد میگیرن. Let's finish inshallah with ziyarah. Everybody stand up, face qibla. We send a blessing inshallah toward Ahlul Bayt and we finish. اللهم أنت السلام ومنك السلام ولك السلام وإليك يعود السلام. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. السلام عليك أيها النبي ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام على الأئمة الهادين المهديين. السلام على جميع أنبياء الله ورسله وملائكته. السلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين. السلام على علي أمير المؤمنين. السلام على فاطمة الزهراء سيدة نساء العالمين. السلام عليكم أيها الحسن والحسين سيد شباب أهل الجنة أجمعين. السلام على علي بن الحسين زين العابدين. السلام على محمد بن علي الباقر. السلام على جعفر بن محمد الصادق. السلام على موسى بن جعفر الكاظم. السلام على علي بن موسى الرضا. السلام على محمد بن علي التقي الجواد. السلام على علي بن محمد الهادي النقي. السلام على حسن بن علي العسكري الزكي. السلام عليك يا صاحب الزمان، يا خليفة الرحمن، يا إمام الإنس والجان. السلام عليكم يا أهل بيت النبوة ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. صدق الله العلي العظيم. For the soul of all marhumin, for the shifa, quick recovery of those who are ill and requested dua and prayers, and inshallah ta'ajil and hastening in the return of Imam of our time, recite Surah Fatiha with the salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad.